sorry. But yes, we do have a go in the SRL Race chat, so we should be getting started here very shortly, I would think.
And we have our wish. It's a shuffled start screen.
Indeed.
And not a pretty one at that if you don't know how to screen scroll. This is going to be difficult to get around.
Yeah, going right there and immediate ladder block. So this is this could be very interesting. See how our racers approach this here.
And power bracelet in this normal spot, which is actually possibly a good thing, due to the fact that if the innie roads aren't shuffled, that will give them some quick access out of this area of the overworld.
We also see what looks like vanilla text, or at least potentially vanilla text.
That is definitely a normal door repair, so we will see what that turns out to be as far as hints go. Looks like Raikou's going to go ahead and head over towards the grave, but unfortunately takes a shot from the Lionels and dies on the way.
Indeed, and epicYoshi also taking a early death here.
Yeah, it does just get the power bracelet, I believe. Yeah, there we go, and he's going to take on off. He's sporting the J-Cover Special, the Trogdor Sprite. Not sure where he's going now. Hopefully he doesn't start killing Armos again like he did last time. It was pretty funny, but the Armos will rebel this time.
All right.
We should be synced now, I believe.
Yeah, pretty close.
Looks like
yeah.
We've got normal hints after seeing that cave with the 1030-50 and the normal vanilla text. It looks like we will be stuck with no helpful hints this game.
Indeed.
And we weren't ahead. We just have a fantastic version of ESPN and knew exactly what was going to happen.
That's right.
Top shots, or topaz shots, indeed. He is playing as Trogdor.
Indeed. We've seen a couple rupee secrets here. It looks like we have a smaller than normal 10 secret. I believe that was 8. And a rather large 30 secret. That was, I believe, 39 that RaikouRider just grabbed there.
Indeed. So that means we'll have shuffled shops, and we find a candle shop right here at the start, which is also very nice, because we do not yet know if we have extra candles available. So that will be an advantage if they don't have the ability to get those from a Take Any cave. Meanwhile, Yoshi's struggling just a little bit to get out of this area. If you don't know how to screen scroll, it makes it really difficult. The only thing that you would really be able to do is head towards the grave and head into the dead wood.
Yes, and meanwhile, RaikouRider has made it to the vanilla wooden sword cave, where there is a wooden sword. As well as I believe there was an extra candle in there. And very interesting.
We might have mixed or second quest. Well, we do have mixed or second quest.
We have mixed or second quest, that's right. He tried to bomb that first quest spot there, one north of Vanilla Start, but nothing doing, so.
And drop groups are shuffled as Red Octoroks are dropping the bomb here.
Indeed.
So it looks like Yoshi's got it figured out. He's going to head over to the dead wood here. Unfortunately, again, for him, with the fact that it looks like any roads are, in fact, shuffled this time around, if he takes a death, he's going to have to take this path the whole way until he finds the ladder, which could be quite time-consuming.
Indeed. Meanwhile, RaikouRider going for vanilla level 1, and it is not there. Gets a vanilla meet the old man at the grave hint.
And we have got a mixed quest overworld, as level 3 looks like level 3.
Indeed we do. One of the spots that you can tell whether or not it's first or second quest is level 3. It's not a dungeon looking thing in the second quest. I believe it's just like a normal cave entrance.
That is correct. It kind of looks like the cave northeast of level 8 in vanilla. It's that same setup. Unfortunately for Yoshi, this is his second mixed quest in as many seeds as he's played. But he seems to be doing a much better job this time of using his tracker to maintain where he's been. So we should see him have a much improved time. And it looks like we have a heart get for Raikou out of the Take-Any Cave, as he knows where to buy one.
Indeed, and I believe he now has the rupees, or he might be one short, but I imagine
think he's
he will.
one short after that.
I think he's one short. Yeah, I think it was 65, but I imagine he will quickly remedy that.
And it also looks like blue Tektites drop bombs, which is interesting. Not one of the things you want to see on the bomb drop table for sure. And Raikou making good use of the screen scrolls here, getting back
Beautiful
over towards the start area.
Yep. Very nicely done. The screen scrolls, not trivial. Same thing goes for the clips. If you don't know how to do them, or even if you do know how to do them, for quite a while they were actually thought to be TAS only, until a little bit of history. Darkwing Duck, who is in this tournament, very fine Legend of Zelda player, both vanilla and randomizer. He just did a screen scroll completely by accident one day, and he said, okay, I guess this is possible in real time. I guess we're incorporating this into the speedrun now.
Yeah, and since then it's gone from, I think, upper mid 34s to a 28-47.
Indeed. epicYoshi now grabbing the wooden sword at the same time as RaikouRider grabs his candle, so...
T-Junkie, I can tell you for certain that epicYoshi cannot screen scroll. He is a very new player to Randomizer, Zelda 1 Randomizer. I believe this is his second or third race overall. So unfortunately, he is not able to do that. But with this sword now, it will, and 0 HP enemies, it seems like, we should be okay as far as the overworld traversing. And as long as he can find a ladder, he'll be okay.
Right. Meanwhile, RaikouRider finding level 4 and immediately grabbing the Triforce. That might have been the second room in the dungeon that he was in, and he grabbed it. And he's going to immediately grab it and go, I guess.
I think I agree with that, just because if we're working with vanilla dungeons, there's a very high chance that there's a ladder block there, and you want to find level 1 and level 2 just so you can get those easy items first.
Right, level 1 especially, because it'll be quite small and will have 2 items in it, so.
And we do have our Take-Any road right by start, so we'll see if these end up being useful. The first one, definitely not.
Yeah.
Maybe on that one.
Maybe that one.
I had a seed last night that I played where the Any Caves were the 2 coast bomb spots, level 8, and then the coast cave. And that last one actually proves to be extremely useful, because that is up there towards Death Mountain, which will allow faster travel around the overworld. So there is one available. I just need to find the bomb spot for it for epicYoshi, who takes to death, unfortunately, and is going to have to make his way back around.
Yep. Another 30 secret for RaikouRider. He's gonna, I imagine he's gonna go candle rowing here. Checking out these caves.
That seems to be the logical course of action, is to save backtracking time.
Yeah. And yep, nothing in that square there in second quest, I guess.
Yeah, and it's important to note that we've got, the ability to have now 10 recorder spots, I think possibly more. I think it's just 10 recorder spots, and 7 power bracelet spots in mixed quest that could potentially contain something important. So the recorder exponentially more important in this case than if it were a first quest overworld.
That's right. There are only really 1, 2, maybe recorder spots in first quest overworld, and as you mentioned, in mixed, or at least second quest, I should say, it's in the order of about 10. So recorder, very high likelihood it will be required if, depending on how much of the mixed quest turns out to be the second quest.
And Yoshi does find a Take-Any in also opts for the heart. So going to be looking to buy that candle near start. Not necessarily a bad choice. Again, if you know where it is, you're on what looks to be mixed quest. If you understand that, there will be 3 large secrets available. You know, there is the possibility that they're shuffled down to nearly nothing with the random flag for that being on, but more money available, so buying a candle not super detrimental.
Indeed. And meanwhile, although finding that door repair not exactly going to help him on the road to that candle. Meanwhile,
like we've
Raikou...
got randomized dungeon rooms, as that was the master room from level 2 as Raikou took out a Dark Nut and they all died.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, RaikouRider pulling off the bomb clip through that door, I believe.
Very nicely done.
Yes. Would you like to explain how that works?
Yeah, and it actually was recently discovered that you could do it with a boomstick and bombing a wall. But basically, when you kill all the enemies in a shutter door room, there is a frame window where it just allows you to pass through the key door if you have no keys, because it's processing the opening of the shutter door. And so it just lets you walk through. And just recently, we had discovered the same thing is possible as it's trying to open a bomb wall. If you use the boomstick, you can also walk through a key door with no keys. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic that will allow you to cheat the system a little bit and maybe gain a small advantage if you aren't able to find keys.
Yes, indeed, as RaikouRider just showed there. Now, this is looking like possibly vanilla dungeon layouts?
I would say yes. It definitely looks like a vanilla level 3.
Right, yeah.
Definitely with randomized rooms again, because the main reason why you can tell that is because, one, we had that master room, but also that is the only way that you ever end up with like the diagonal block room and the orange back set is a symptom of having randomized dungeon rooms thrown on top of what would be the vanilla desert room.
Right.
Okay. And dark rooms, as 7-8 points out, are only available in vanilla dungeons.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's actually, I don't know, I would say how well known that necessarily is. And, the dark rooms only being in vanilla dungeons, except for Ganon's room, of course, which is...
Raikou passing up the boomerang and then realizing, oh, I'm on 0 HP, that might be useful,
right,
and decides to go back to grab it.
Yeah.
Another important thing to note is that we had seen Raikou pick up the Triforce in what is the maze room in level 4, which means that we have got shuffled dungeon drops as well, meaning that we will not be seeing Triforces in their normal room the majority of the time. In this case, it ends up being there to prove me, you know, a little bit wrong, but for the most part, they will not be in their original rooms.
Was it?
It was in the maze room. I'm 100% positive. Meanwhile, Yoshi's still trapped up here on Death Mountain, has taken out the Lynels on some of the bad screens, leaving just the P-Hat, making it much easier to traverse, but still unfortunately has to take this long trek around in order to be able to get back to the majority of the overworld. Hopefully he will manage to find a bomb drop off of something soon, which will allow him to find that any road that is actually up there on Death Mountain.
Indeed, because this is not the... certainly not the easiest of treks to make with the Lynels and Death Mountain, and although it does appear that the overworld enemies are vanilla formations. I'm looking at this right?
Yes, they do not appear to be shuffled.
Right. Which, in a way, just reinforces my point with all the Lynels and other nasty stuff up in Death Mountain, and kind of on the way down from Death Mountain as well.
Yeah, and Raikou finding the large secret, which is a whopping 135, so
wow.
Lots of money to play around with in this seed here.
Very nice. Gonna check what is normally an arrow shop. Finds another secret, and it's oh.
Ooh. Not what you want to see.
Yeah, not when you already have 200 something rupees. see, the coast item is the heart container, which means I would say a high probability that the white sword item would in fact be the white sword. Meanwhile, epicYoshi picking up a blue candle here.
Yep, that'll help him find some important spots. And if he burns just to the left of, or right of start there, he'll find that first any road, which should make it a lot easier for him to get around. Meanwhile, Raikou's still looking for some more dungeons and what could be the white sword in the white sword cave, which may or may not be useful. We will see, depending on bosses and Ganon.
Right, because while we know that normal enemies have 0 HP, boss HP as well as Ganon HP are two separate flags. So the white sword may or may not, prove to be a useful find if our players here do grab it. Raikou, I believe, did find level 9, and now he's gone into level 8 as well.
Yes, indeed. Have they checked the desert shop? Or the push block by Theory? We could have 5 dungeons in a row. We could have a bingo. And Raikou using the trick to leave a dungeon and enter back in, and it confuses the dungeon, making it think that you have actually entered that door from the top, and as such, will force open a bomb wall or a key door. You can also do that from the left or the right if you're able to do so.
Yes, indeed. And he does grab a map in level 8, which, he basically already knew, but it does 100% confirm vanilla dungeon layouts or inner dungeon. He finds a quick Triforce again.
And reverse C room. Yeah, that's he probably wanted to see an item, but I guess he's not going to complain too much about finding a Triforce.
Right. Interestingly, he does opt to grab it and go back in, even though he only got, I believe, half a heart out of that in terms of life refill. Maybe he just really wants the beam sword.
Yeah, I think it could also be the fact that, you don't want to forget. There's a lot of times when you got those early Triforces, and I've had it happen before where I'm like, okay, well, now I got to find the Triforce. And, it turns out it was at the start, and I just forgot that it was there.
Right, you just never grabbed it the first time.
And unfortunately, another death for Yoshi, and he had not located that take any road, so he is going to be stuck walking back around again. Probably going to go check the power bracelet spot up here where the second quest Master Sword is, which isn't a bad choice as it is something that he has not done yet.
Right. Might as well take a look at what's over here in it. Nope, doesn't open. So, gonna try some of these other blocks, I guess, but I don't think any of those are gonna do anything either.
No, and unfortunately, it's just unfortunate for Yoshi getting stuck with a mixed quest overworld and being a shuffled start screen where it is, because again, it's up on Death Mountain, and he's not gotten any bomb drops yet, which means he literally can't clear anything because there's nothing to do other than bomb spots up here at this point.
Right, we've mentioned in several other races that the way the randomizer works, you will never be required to do clips or screen scrolls. But that said, there are times when it can be very helpful, and this is definitely one of those seeds. Meanwhile, Yoshi taking another death to Lionel's. One of the things that is kind of underrated in 0 HP seeds, I think, sometimes, is enemies themselves still hurt you just as much. So you're against Lionel's and, orange Wizrobes and things, you're very much kind of a glass cannon situation.
Indeed, and looks like Raikou is running into some key issues here in level 8. Does find a way around this room, but unfortunately unable to shoot up the rest of the spine due to the advent of a locked door. But he's going to try to key glitch.
He's going to try to. Nope.
Which again is not a bad choice. I mean, this is a fantastic use of him.
And he gets it. Very nice.
Yeah. So two in a game. Be sure to applaud him for that. That's fantastic. What should be an item here, unless it happens to be their staircase.
Oh, it is a recorder. That is a big find, as we mentioned earlier.
not only will that allow him to check additional spots in the overworld, but that will allow him to whistle around the world as well. Depending on, if we have vanilla dungeon spots or not, either way, he's going to be able to get around much faster now.
Indeed. Oh, the second item, magic
Oh,
key.
man. Wow,
That is
right
a-
next to it. And
Yeah.
with 0 keys to boot, that's when you want to find it.
That's at one of your first dungeons. When you have 0 keys, that is huge. So that's I guess I don't know exactly what you call it, but the shutter door clip, key clip, if you will, paying off huge for Raikou there.
Yeah, those two rooms being right next to each other is always fantastic. It just, diving in there, paying off for him, getting 2 items that are extremely useful.
Indeed.
Meanwhile, checking the lake at level 2 and not finding anything but a shop, opts to not buy arrows. So my assumption is at this point he's saving for a blue ring.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. As at this point, it's either you buy the blue ring since we, appears boomstick is not in play, or your other option is basically arrows and enemy bait. I'd say would probably be the other thing you would do with your excess cash at this point. Since he doesn't seem to have a use for arrows just yet. I would presume,
yes, 7-8 and mixed quest. It will not drain the lake. It is kind of an interesting deal where you keep a lake and you just end up with a hole. It's kind of like one of the superhero movies where they have the gigantic door that opens up in the middle of a lake, and that's how you enter.
Yeah, one of those interesting things that if you don't know about, that can actually throw you off. Because, you blow the whistle and just nothing happens for probably 3 or so seconds, I'd say. And so if you're used to, the first quest or kind of vanilla second quest where they start to drain, you can actually leave too quickly and it can really, mess you up later on as you're trying to figure out what the heck you missed because you just, you blew the whistle, nothing happened for a second, you said, oh, nothing there, and you left before the staircase actually appeared.
Indeed, and Raikou does in fact pick up that blue ring, so he's doubling his defense now, and finds another large secret right afterwards.
Large secret, very nice.
Wow. So hopefully Yoshi will be able to get over here east of start before taking any kind of untimely death, and we'll be able to find that any road, which will make his life much, much easier. And Raikou picking up the bait, probably wise, since he doesn't really need the rupees for much else at this point, other than maybe to buy arrows if they're needed.
Right, you might want to buy arrows, but even that is, at this point I would say almost you might as well. Although, cheap bombs there. Yeah, he's going to grab some bombs. I can't say I blame him for that. Max them out.
Yeah, 11 rupees for a bomb is not too bad. And with shuffled drop groups, it's nice to find that shop, which is actually really close to level 9 on top of it, just 2 screens north. So that's actually a pretty big find for later on.
Indeed. And Yoshi unfortunately taking another death, although I don't know if he managed to find any road or anything that would help him get off of Death Mountain here.
Doesn't appear so, unfortunately.
Like he does not. Okay, yeah.
And still fishing for that bomb, unfortunately just not finding the right enemies to drop them, and shuffled drop groups are one of those things where if you're a newer player, you have an expectation and then it's completely thrown out of the window, and all of a sudden you have to start playing guesswork, and you can kill a certain number of enemies. Like he's killed a bunch of red Octoroks and they haven't dropped the bomb for him, but it happens that they are the bomb droppers in this group, and you may just write that off at some point that, okay, well, they don't drop bombs, but you're just unfortunately getting very unlucky.
Indeed. And meanwhile, RaikouRider has found the magical sword in the very top right corner, the overworld. Obviously, he has nowhere near enough hearts for it, but does find to take any up in his life to 6 there.
Yeah, that will guarantee him whatever the white sword item might be, which again could be shuffled or may not. 50% chance that it is the white sword, but it could be the ladder, it could be the silver arrows, or the bow. There's a lot of things that it could be. And let's find level 2.
There's level 2, yep.
Ooh, gotta love that.
That dig dogger there in the gold room.
Rick, the only thing we've confirmed so far is red Octoroks and blue Tektites. So that is the only thing we've confirmed that drop bombs thus far.
Yes, indeed. And I believe that was a 0 HP boss as well. Or at least shuffled, so it was very weak, if not 0. I'm not exactly sure.
The parts that break off from the not the manhandlers, but the dig doggers and the Patra orbits are all in the normal enemy groups. So if they are at 0 HP, they will also be 0 HP.
Oh, okay.
But making good use of this boomerang was definitely a good pickup for sure.
Absolutely. And okay, yep. LOZ Cards fan in the chat noting that Dig Dogger isn't technically a boss. Or his small eyes, I guess, are not technically bosses. Okay.
And Yoshi getting a bomb drop and does find the take any roads.
Finds the take any, okay.
Super important.
Yes. Now he just has to make sure he explores all 4 of them so that he knows.
Yeah, hopefully
he has a way out if he needs it.
Do it, Yoshi. You know you want to. And he chooses not to.
Oh, no.
Hopefully he does not take a death from the Lionel that will be up here. And it does get wide, all right. Very good.
Okay, it gets by it, okay.
And it's another take-in, so, awesome.
Okay, yeah. Not, he'll be happy to see that, no doubt.
And meanwhile, Raikou's still trying to figure out where the stuff is in level 2, and it's the bow!
He gets the bow, okay.
He picks up the D, and he's going to head back and get the Triforce now, but a great find to
grab the
find
Triforce. And he does indeed pick up the Triforce. And we'll see if... yes. And, epicYoshi does push the rock in the second quest, Lost Hills. Unfortunately, just finding a shop with a blue ring in it, but...
Yeah, hasn't quite found those large secrets yet, unfortunately.
No, it looks like he's gonna check out what's in vanilla first quest, level 5 here.
Ooh, and the power bracelet does end up being required as the Lost Hills push block ends up being level 6. So a lot of dungeons being clumped up here in the northeast this time around. It's kind of interesting how that happens a lot, it seems, where there's just gigantic clumps of dungeons, and, then half the overworld is completely worthless. Boss HP not 0 for
not
sure.
Shuffled, or yeah, I was going to say not 0. I was about to say not shuffled, but that's wrong. Not 0. I meant to say, and yes, we have seen races where all 9 dungeons have been in 1/2 of the overworld, for instance. Where the entire right side was just useless. There's nothing over there. Nothing important, anyway.
I think LOZ means to say not 0 HP bosses, as we have confirmed for sure that it is 0 HP enemies. But to answer T-Junkie's question, there are 2 items in level 1. One of them being on the floor, one in the staircase, 2 items in level 8 and 9. And then there are 1 item in 2 through 7, with the item in 2 being on the ground as well.
Yes.
Meanwhile, 6 kind of a nasty dungeon without a ladder and Wizrobes, and Raikou gonna kind of opt out, I think, wisely until he finds that ladder. I'm gonna take a scroll over here to level 5, and we'll find that heart container to the south. But outside of that, or rather, I'm sorry, heart container at the waterfall if he hasn't done so already. But that's all that's going to find over this area.
Which I don't think he has actually. And,
interesting that he opts to skip doing that push block and opts to. Okay, it does go to the waterfall, but doesn't check that push block.
Yeah, I noticed that too. That is interesting. I'm not sure if he maybe just forgot about it, forgot this was mixed quest overworld, or just maybe just he thinks he knows where most of what he wants to see at this point is, and so just doesn't care very much. But
Yeah, indeed. And Yoshi does finally make his way around the bottom of the coast, so getting a little bit of exploration done, and hopefully we'll run into a dungeon here soon.
meanwhile, he does find the large secret. So
That is good, which means that if he runs into that blue ring shop with a few more rupees, he'll be able to make that purchase.
yes, which is always. I would say it's almost never a bad investment, especially in a seed like this with no boomstick in play.
Right, and the 50% chance that Red Ring is in level 9 anyway. It's definitely not a bad choice. And
Right.
Raikou, bombless, looking for bombs up here on Death Mountain, and it looks like possibly the red Lionels could be in the drop group based off of what just dropped, but I haven't seen them lay one on the ground yet.
And, I was gonna say something, and it just completely slipped my mind. Good job, me.
It's also odd that he's going back because he didn't check the push block here. We know that they are in fact shuffled, so it's not in any road. I don't believe it was anything of consequence, but it was just kind of odd again that he's skipped a couple of power bracelet spots now, and hopefully he doesn't do the same thing with the recorder spots.
Yeah, he did, as you saw, go back and went back for that one. Meanwhile, epicYoshi has found a dungeon. Unfortunately, it is level 9, which will be helpful for him later on, but right now, not so much.
Yeah, does not opt to go right just yet, so he'll miss level 8 for the moment, but I think he'll head north after checking this cave.
I would hope so.
And meanwhile, Raikou does get a bomb drop, so that is useful, and he's going to head not to the grave. He does have 3 spots in the grave that he could check now that he has the recorder, but looks like he's going to check level 6 first.
Yep. And he finds a take any ops or a potion this time.
Not a bad choice. Again, magic sword not necessarily the most useful thing in the world due to the fact that we have 0 HP enemies, and it can be anywhere between upwards of 14 hearts. So with the blue ring, a potion is a good investment.
Yeah, I agree with that. And meanwhile, epicYoshi does find level 8. He marks it down, presuming that's what the little pauses there are as he enters various areas.
Yeah, we well know that level 8 has got very good items to have. He's just got to unfortunately find his way around, and I'm not sure that he can do so. Well, I guess he would just need to walk up with a bomb. Unfortunately, not realizing that this isn't shapes, and we'll be using his bombs on the incorrect walls here.
Yep, those walls are not going to yield anything of note here. And I imagine he's gonna, and that's gonna be nothing doing as well for the same reason.
Yeah, if he exits and re-enters, he can't open that bomb wall. But we'll see if he knows that trick or not. It does look like it, so he will at least be able to progress a little bit further here.
So he'll be able to get a little bit farther into this, but he enters and immediately exits again. Okay.
Meanwhile, Raikou making his way around, checking for those recorder spots, and has thus far been unfruitful. Grave proving to be a whole bunch of nothing, and pretty much the recorder has not proven to be of anything of use thus far.
Alright, which is somewhat surprising in the mixed quest overworld, but it looks like there is a whole lot more first quest than second quest here, I guess.
So we're going to rename this The Legend of Relic. The Search for Epic RPG.
Yoshi, meanwhile, grabbing the Triforce in level 8. And the vanilla, I believe that's vanilla level 7 there in the first. Yes, okay. RaikouRider's in. Finds another bomb shop, grabs some more cheapo bombs there.
Yeah, well worth it. Still having to explore Death Mountain, which in Mixed Quest is a living nightmare due to the ridiculous number of bomb spots available.
Yes, there are a lot of potential bomb spots there.
Now, it is important to note that I don't know that there's going to be enough keys available for Yoshi to make it where Raikou was, due to the fact that he used a key glitch to get where he was and had 0 keys on top of it. So we'll see if he's able to maneuver over to where the items are in level 8. He does get his first Triforce, though, which has got to feel good.
Yes, as you mentioned, he did have to key glitch at least once. That's right. I believe he did it again in a separate dungeon, did RaikouRider. But yeah, we'll see if he... A, if he knows that such a thing is possible, and then B, can actually execute that.
And Raikou checking that last dead wood whistle location, and unfortunately getting trapped in the corridor, but we do find out from that we do whistle to new dungeon locations. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure he was wanting to check the last couple of spots in the southwest down there, but is going to have to go back to do that.
Yes.
I think that pretty much leaves the spot by start, the spot on the coast, and the spot in Death Mountain, and that is the only recorder locations left. And again, thus far, we have not seen anything useful under the recorder spots.
Yeah, we've seen a couple shops and possibly one take any, but other than that,
level 5,
just level 5 here,
just west to where the start screen is. I guess that's 2 screens, but close enough.
Mm-hmm. And epicYoshi here finds a staircase, but unfortunately it's just the staircase in level 8.
Indeed, and he might have to take that to get around. I don't think that Raikou ever actually took that, so that could lead up towards the section he needs to be in. I believe just west of here are the 2 items, so maybe he can bomb that direction. We'll have to see.
Right, I believe you're right that Raikou never did actually take that staircase, although as you mentioned, it's possible that it could lead to where epicYoshi has to go here as a potential alternative maybe to the key clip.
Yeah, and Yoshi unfortunately taking a death after trying to burn the Dark Nuts, and I had to resist the urge to seeing Dark Nuts roasting on an open fire.
Yeah, well, if Dark Nuts would roast on an open fire, that would have actually been very helpful for Yoshi there. Unfortunately, they do not. They must have some kind of heat-resistant armor, I guess.
Yes, the Gorons before Gorons were ever invented. And meanwhile, we got a staircase that Raikou just took in level 5. Still looking for that item, and obviously needing a ladder to get through level 6. So we'll see if he runs into that, or maybe it's buried in level 7.
Maybe. Also, interesting note, I do not believe we've actually discovered level 1 yet, so...
That is true. Something. Level 1 is still a mystery. We could hope it's on the raft spots. And Yoshi using the beam sword to his advantage to take out Dark Nuts from across the room. Never a bad idea.
Yeah, I can't say I blame him for that at all. Dark Nuts are, they can be nasty. Especially the blue ones, even on a 0 HP seed. That 2 hearts of damage per hit, that adds up.
And Yoshi getting trapped in a Chevy room. Fortunately had a beam sword.
Yep, okay. Now, yeah, he's going to have to up an A out of there. Yep, and I think he realizes that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for him, he's being a little stubborn, because, again, the items in here are not bad, but it's just getting over to them, and I don't know for sure. He's either going to have to take the staircase. I don't know that he checked the bomb wall in the blue Darknet room, but otherwise he's not going to be able to get over there due to the fact he does not have enough keys.
Right. And
I have a feeling that the staircase is just going to go up to the northern part of the spine, which again is not going to allow access to anything, because it was ladder blocked off and has key doors otherwise.
I get the feeling that you're right, but absent anything else, but that may be still his best. In lieu of being able to do the door clip.
And I was wrong, and that's a good thing.
Wow.
If he can bomb to the right, he will be having access to both of the items in this dungeon. Meanwhile, Raikou knows what the Triforce room is, but has not been able to locate the item and is still digging. And yeah, if he goes right here, he'll run into the first item room and will be on his merry. Or no, he's got to go up. Maybe you can't access them from this direction. If he bombs north and can go that way, then he's got him. But otherwise, it looks like you have to use a key door. And Raikou does find that item in level 5 finally, and it being the white sword. Again, not what you're looking for necessarily in a 0 HP steed, but could be useful if Ganon's required and not 0.
Yes. Just, come on.
And we'll pick up his 5th Triforce, and still searching for level 1 or 7, which contains the ladder somewhere, or possibly the White Sword Cave. As we now know, it is in fact shuffled.
Right, the White Sword is in fact not in its normal cave, so as you said, it is possible that that could contain the ladder, or, as you mentioned before, possibly Silver Arrow, something else, maybe a raft, who really knows?
And Yoshi finally calling it quits, and unfortunately misses both item rooms. Was every direction around them, just not in them, and will miss out on that any key. And level 1 has been found on Death Mountain for RaikouRider.
Ah, there it is. So we'll see what's in there now.
Looks like we do have shuffled bomb upgrade men and shuffled prices as well.
Here's what we're gonna do. All right, I'm having
Oh no! The ladder is indeed in level 7.
Oh boy. I'm actually just going to reload Epic Stream here.
So yeah, having to go through the demon to find the ladder is always a fun thing for viewers. Not so much for the players, but has to find the level first as well.
Yes, that is true.
2 rupees short of those arrows, which I'm sure he's contemplating buying at this point.
I would have to think so, yes.
And this is the reason why Mixed Quest is frustrating, because there's those couple of locations that are like, well, did I really bomb the right spot? And you blow 3 or 4 bombs, and it just ends up that, well, there's nothing there, but, you run out your bomb supply in the process.
Right. Especially because in the overworld, to me, whereas unlike in the dungeons, where, you can be well away from the wall and the bomb will still count, I personally find in the overworld, the degree of precision that you need on your bomb in order for it to actually open up a cave is sometimes higher than you'd think. Like, you don't have as much leeway, it seems to me, in the overworld versus in a dungeon.
You absolutely do not. It's got to be right up on the area of the cave, or it will not work. With like you were talking about, in the dungeons, you can have what's left to right, almost 2 complete squares worth of distance, and on the up to top to bottom, you can have up to a square. So, Raikou finishing out his bombing of Death Mountain and not finding level 7. So at this point, has to be wondering, and really all he's got left is a couple of whistle locations and the west portion of Death Mountain. Or east, I'm sorry, the east portion of Death Mountain.
Indeed.
And Raikou does track down level 2, so he should be able to finish this dungeon, and we'll find the bow, and that'll be encouraging for him to have found one of those important items in order that you might need to finish the seed.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he'll pick up some keys in here as well, which will allow him to explore some of the other dungeons a little bit more as well. And it looks like blue Lionels are in the bomb dropper group as well, so those not shuffled. But again, we don't really know in the dungeons what drops bombs yet. It doesn't look like ropes drop bombs. Souls don't seem to be dropping bombs. So depending on what group ends up in level 9, which it should actually be Wizrobes, because it looks like we do not have shuffled enemy groups between dungeons here, it could be fairly difficult to track down bombs depending on what actually is the dropper in the group.
Indeed. And, see now RaikouRider opening, or trying to open first quest level 9 there, but nothing doing. Finds a money-making game.
Yeah, and he's utilizing paper tracking, so we can't see everywhere that he's been, but pretty much at this point, I think he's got what would be the whistle location on the coast and the raft locations, but we know unless level 6, in fact, is not fully ladder blocked somehow, that the ladder must be in 7, which means that the raft is likely to be in 6 or 1, so therefore 7 would not be on a raft spot, but he does have this whistle location left as well. So he should run into Dungeon 7 fairly soon.
Yes, indeed.
I don't think he's checked the push block in the desert either by the fairy fountain, so it could be there as well. And meanwhile, we should be running into the bow on epicYoshi's side in this room as he walks up here. He'll see it on the ground, be happy to find that, and head back to the Triforce. I guess, to be honest, I guess the southwest is where Raikou has not been either due to getting whisked away by the whistle earlier. So there are 2 cave possibilities there as well.
Yeah, there are definitely a few caves there that you wouldn't necessarily think to check so much in like a vanilla or, you know, a normal, I guess, any percent speedrun. But yeah, there could be some things lurking over there. He's Raikou going back into vanilla 3 here. Interesting. Finds a money-making game.
And we have found the white sword item, and it is the wand.
Okay.
So indeed confirming that if 6 is fully ladder blocked, that 7 does contain the ladder, which is eluding both of our players. And we do have a second Triforce grab over on epicYoshi's side. And it seems like maybe the recorder is going to be required. We'll see once we get over towards the coast area.
Right, the coast, or have we checked the desert? The potential desert recorder spots. I actually don't remember.
You know, that is a fantastic point. I believe he walked by all of those earlier, so they could be there. But it is, however, turning out to be more and more like the recorder is going to be required, which means that Yoshi may be a little bit before he's able to finish this seed due to the fact that he left level 8, which does contain the recorder.
Right.
Yes, at Impain Train, the whistle does whistle to new dungeon locations.
Yeah.
And we've got an interesting comment in the IRC Raikou asking who touched the bot. Level 4, good point. I forgot about level 4. He did not dig the item as he grabbed the Triforce, so this could contain a ladder.
That is true. Yes, I was actually wondering about level 4, but I'd forgotten if he'd grabbed it and gone, or had gotten ladder blocked, or something else. But yes, that is correct. That's right. He grabbed the Triforce in this second room here, and then that's right. Okay, he might have grabbed it and gone because he had no keys at that point.
I believe so. So yeah, again, so early in the seed, unfortunately, forgot on my part, but we'll see. Maybe this has a raft, and it turns out that level 7's on a raft location.
That could very well be.
The fantastic compass get midway through the dungeon after already running through the Triforce.
Sorry, I'm just kind of dealing with some technical little issues here. So if I'm silent for the next little bit, that's why.
No, you're fine.
Oh.
And the item in 4 is the raft! I love it!
Wow.
Oh, I love it. These seeds are so good.
So yes, that will all but confirm, I would say, that level 7 is going to be at least one of those, one of those raft spots.
And vanilla level 4 does contain level 7. Wow, what a seed. I mean, if you had keys earlier, it's not that big of a deal. But again, it's keys have been an issue so far in the seed, and it just so happens that through some clever usage of game mechanics and using the shutter key door trick, Raikou was able to run into the any key, which has pretty much alleviated all of those problems.
Right. It makes me wonder, how long would this seed be, or would it have been if he did not know how to do that key clip?
Well,
we see a ladder block there early on.
Be in 7 if you can't bomb north in this room right here.
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness, so ladder's in 6?
Huh. Very interesting.
Have we seen all the items in level 1 yet? I don't believe we have.
We have not seen either item in level 1, but I believe that one was also a very early ladder block.
Yeah, you're correct. So level 6 must, in fact, contain the ladder, and it just looked like it was ladder block. That is crazy.
That is very interesting. And meanwhile, Agent, I don't know if you can see epicYoshi's stream here. I don't mean to give him short shrift by any means, but I'm actually having some issues here where he's about a minute and a half behind for me, and I cannot catch him up, so...
Yeah, that's fine. It looks like he's actually picked up a blue ring and has now become the pink Trogdor of Doom, and is making his way through the forest, trying to locate some more dungeons. Unfortunately for him, it's been keys that have really cost him some trouble, and he's going to have to find level 4, which I don't believe he's located yet, to finish out this seed, which was kind of his bane last time, is that's where level 2 was, and it took him quite a bit to check there, but having bailed on 6 earlier is actually going to cost him as well, as it seems like the ladder is in level 6. Or must be at this point, because 7 and 1 are ladder blocked. And there it is, just up the spine, we run into the ladder in level 6. So big find here for Raikou. And again, it was behind a key door. That's the problem, was key blocked on both sides, and neither player had keys when they entered the dungeon.
Yeah, that just goes to show how, if you make the right choice early on or the wrong choice early on, that can really affect how long some of these seeds go and how hard of a time you have.
And Raikou unfortunately getting beamed right before he can take his use of his potion, and definitely going to have to head back that way. Raikou probably had a couple of keys early random, but was not willing to invest them. I think maybe one or two, and you know, I can't say that I blame him for not wanting to use those in level 6, as a lot of times you just use it and it ends up being nothing. So it just turns out in this case that was the big deal. But in fact, in level 8, he had no keys and made use of the shutter door trick to make his way to the any key, which has proven to be probably one of the biggest factors so far in this race.
Yes, absolutely. And as you mentioned before, he did actually use the shutter door trick in one other area. I don't know that it necessarily helped him directly at that point. Oh, geez. Sorry about that. I was reopening Raikou's stream there as well. All right.
So Triforce 6 get for Raikou out of level 6, ironically. We'll see where he goes next. I mean, either or, they were ladder block. Level 1's probably a good choice. You know, some quick, easy items, but it looks like he'll go to level 7.
Right, because, yeah, okay, he's going to warp to... Well, I don't know exactly where he's warping. Let's see. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, it looks like he is going up to level 7 there. He warped to, I guess, level 4, I think is what that was, and then, yeah, made his way to level 7.
Yes, indeed. And Yoshi picking up the boomerang on his side. Again, not a bad choice with the 0 HP seed. Again, probably not what he's looking for at this point, but having a ranged weapon and some things to pick up things from distance is always nice. And we'll hopefully find his third Triforce here pretty quickly in level 3. And in fact, does find it in the Triforce room.
Yes, that is, you know, always nice to finally get rolling, pick up a few Triforces, and then, you know, hopefully things can accelerate from there for him. And meanwhile, Raikou finds the staircase here in level 7.
Yeah, and Yoshi making his way around the overworld, still looking for some dungeons, hasn't checked down by start yet for the bomb locations. So we'll hopefully do that here pretty quickly, and we'll actually manage to find level 4. And meanwhile, we do have a bomb upgrade grab for Raikou, and unfortunately, it's a whopping 113 for only 2 bombs. So while a little bit helpful, definitely not what you're looking for.
No, but on the other hand, he probably doesn't have too much else to spend his money on at this point. I suppose he could use that on an arrow, but...
Yeah, what kind of troll would it end up being if you needed arrows in order to get the Triforce? We do see Gomas in level 7 as bosses have been shuffled, so there is the possibility of that happening.
That is true.
But never mind. It just magically changed locations, indeed. I know, Jim. I know. So, meanwhile, Raikou has got 7 Triforces, has only got level 1 left, which I assume he's probably going to make a quick whistle 5 and head right on over. Then we'll be able to head to level 9 to try to tackle the beast there. Meanwhile, Yoshi still trying to figure out where he needs to go, has left level 8, which has got the any key, which is been proven to be super important, as there have been a lot of key doors so far in the seed that have caused some issues.
Mm-hmm.
But also he's left level 4, which has the raft, which is required for 7. So depending on how long he looks around, this could be just a little bit for Yoshi. And, you know, at the end of all things, he still has to go back to level 6 to find that ladder. Fortunately, I think the only dungeons he's really missing are levels 7, 5, and 1, and he's only got Death Mountain left to do for the most part. So he should run into all but 7 fairly quickly.
Right. As you mentioned, once you get kind of that crucial first item in the sequence, the rest of it does tend to sort of fall into place.
And level 8 is where we're going to see Yoshi go back to. So again, the any key being there, the recorder, while super useful, has not actually been required for anything. So good, it's a good thing for Yoshi's part. If he does find the any key here, however, it will make it much quicker for him to make it through the rest of the seed.
Yes, that will definitely open things up for him, which that's something he'll definitely be happy to see.
Meanwhile, Raikou's still going through level 1. I don't know that he's found an item yet, so it looks like the Triforce and both items are going to be in the East Wing, pun intended, I suppose.
Yeah, looks like he grabbed the compass there, and yep, Triforce there, looking like the very start of the East Wing, I guess the right shoulder of the bird, if you will.
And again, all these keys required to actually get to the items here have been a little bit brutal. Level 1 obviously having plenty of drops, but still lots of key doors needed to get to these items, and it's been a little bit of an issue here. 3 keys here for Yoshi, however, means that he should be able to get over without a problem to the any key, as well as the recorder.
I certainly hope so. And
we'll see what other item level 1 has here.
Yeah. All right.
The Bloomer! So looking pretty likely like we've got the standard Silver Arrows red ring in level 9.
Yes, indeed. And so that means, I believe, by process of elimination, we have the magic book is the item in 7.
Yeah. How interesting would it be, however, if it turns out that that's not the case, and the Silver Arrows magically find them way into level 7?
Right, and that is not impossible by any means. We have I'm actually trying to think if any race I've commentated on has had a shuffled red ring silver arrow. It's actually been quite rare in the races that I've seen. But
well, there have been 4 confirmed occasions where the red ring has been outside of 9 and the silver arrows have still been inside of 9.
Okay.
Which is pretty interesting in and of itself. And then there have been, let me take a look. Overall, 10 times so far that the silvers have not been in 9 at all. So still right on that 75% chance that silvers are there. But it's just been pretty interesting that we've confirmed on 4 separate occasions that they were indeed not forced to 9, but still ended up being there, which is just, again, it makes you want to go to level 9 as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Raikou is in fact in level 9.
Yes. So explore here, and we will find out. Required. Unfortunately, so far my dream of first room entrance, second room, Triforce guy, third room Zelda, that has yet to come to pass.
It's been pretty close on some occasions and some randomizers. It's always nice when it's like that, but you get the Ganon and then the Zelda, but the silver arrows are behind 3 magical staircases somewhere.
Yep.
And Yoshi does find the recorder. He's going to head south and find that any key with a singular key left. Unfortunately, does not know how to block clip, though, and has a 3 Dodongo room with only 3 bombs. So hopefully he is able to get this taken care of. And he does. He gets a double bomb there. It should be
Very
just
nice.
fine to pick up this any key.
Very nice, and that will open up a good chunk of the seed for him now, because keys were a definite issue throughout this seed, as you mentioned. Even even level 1, where normally you'd want to stockpile keys. There were a lot of locked doors there, and it just happened that Raikou managed to get the any key early on.
Raikou stabbing the old man that says, "Good luck, we're all counting on you."
He's like, I don't need luck.
So we do have shuffled dungeon drops, so the compass could be located anywhere. Generally, when drops are not shuffled, you want to be killing the 3 dark black background rooms in level 9 as never mind, because who needs a compass when Zelda's in one?
And hey, what's up? There she is.
Yeah, we have an official race spot time of 105.05 for RaikouRider, running straight into the Zelda. Can't complain too much about that.
The Zelda, indeed. And so my wish came true of Ganon not required. It's always good.
Yeah, pretty fantastic time there for Raikou. Just if thinking about how that seed played out with not getting the ladder until almost an hour into the seed, that's always incredibly frustrating as a player. But finishing it up in super quick speed right afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a pretty good time anyway. 105.05, but especially with the way that seed could have played out, and indeed I would say did play out. He had to kind of make a lot of backtracking to some of the earlier dungeons there after we thought we knew where the raft and the ladder were, but it turned out not to be the case. So, that actually I'd say a pretty fantastic time given that given that seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And Yoshi making his way across Hyrule now, trying to figure out where exactly he needs to go next. Does have 4 Triforces, so is halfway there, but has got to go back to level 6 and get the ladder out of there before really being able to make too much more progress on this seed, as both levels 1 and 7 are fully ladder blocked, and 6 you cannot get the Triforce without it. So the only really thing he could complete at this point would be level 5.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello,
That
Raikou.
was interesting.
Well, congratulations, first off.
Yes.
And a heck of an end game, getting the ladder at near an hour and finishing at 105.05.
When I found that ladder in 6, one room after, because what happened was I found 6. I think it was one of my first dungeons, one of them, because I found the power bracelet very quickly since it was in this vanilla spot. Then I took a staircase in 6, because I'm actually a big fan of taking staircases in not shapes to get more coverage. And
I did
then
notice that.
I found the staircase in 6, took it up. It took me close to the Triforce because I was very far away from the Triforce since I had the compass at the time. Then I left. Then I found the Triforce was in a moat room, so I left because I didn't want to go digging for the item in 6 since I had a ton of space to go. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go find other dungeons and hope the ladder's there. And then when I eventually went back to 6 because I figured out that the ladder was there, and then I found it was one room north of the staircase I took, I thought I was way behind.
Yeah, and the awesome use of your shutter door key tricks in this seed actually paying huge dividends as you managed to get over to the any key, which I believe that was the only way to get there was through that key door. We just had epicYoshi get over there not too long ago and get the any key, but proving to be a big deal as this seed was heavily key blocked in some of the dungeons as well.
I noticed that the key situation wasn't very good. So in that double key room, I think that might have been where I actually found the any key. I used my one key on purpose so I could do a key clip. Because normally I wouldn't just blow my last key on a door like that, but given the option to key clip, I thought it wasn't too bad an idea, and it turned out to work out really well. I was really excited to find the any key.
Well, with 0 keys for sure. I mean, a lot of times you traverse through a dungeon and end up with 6 or 7 keys after going in with very few, and it's like, okay, well, that's not that big a deal anymore. But finding it at 0 keys, especially after, if you look at the, the level 1 was pretty heavily key blocked, and level 6 you had double key doors going into the item room, which I think you had a couple of keys, but a lot of times you don't want to blow those going up the spine in level 6 because it can end up being a dead end or something very unuseful. So
I also, when I found that level 1 was ladder block, because I was really thinking, hey, I haven't found 1 yet, and there's a good chance the ladder is in there, and then I found that level 1 was immediately ladder blocked. I was like, is it really in 6? I don't want to go to 6. Whether you play first, second, or shapes, just 6 sucks.
it
Right.
does. Luckily the ladder wasn't in 7 though, because it could have been worse, but it turned out to be in 6, which again, it's always frustrating when you find that dungeon super early and you're like, okay, well, it's level 6, I don't want to go there, but then the item ends up actually being pretty easy to access, and it's such an important key item.
Yeah, when I found out where the ladder was, like I said, but apparently not. What do you think of my play to dig 1 even after getting the ladder? I don't think it's unreasonable. I mean, better runners probably wouldn't, but
I didn't mind it so much just because of basically it's level 1, it's a small dungeon, there are 2 items in there, and you don't necessarily know for sure at that point that the level 9 items will be in level 9, or that either level 9 item is actually required. So especially since you had kind of already cleared most of the dungeon anyway at that point, I don't think it's that big a deal to go through the last 2 or 3 rooms or whatever it was to at least take a look at those 2 items and see what they were.
I just didn't want to wind up in a situation where, say I don't have silvers and there's still 5 items out there. I mean, in these kinds of flags, I think with 5 items outstanding, it means a 60% chance that silver is in 9 with this set.
Sounds about right, because they can either not be shuffled, or it could be shuffled, but the shuffle could just put it in level 9. So yeah, probably thereabouts. Which is 5 items outstanding. It's better than 50-50, but it's still not great, especially since, again, you're in the small dungeon with the 2 items. You might as well just you're digging for information at that point, if nothing else.
The mixed quest overworld really threw me for a loop too. I'm not used to that at all. I think this is actually the first mixed quest seed I've done.
Really? Have you done any second quest seeds lately, or lately, in practice?
Second quest seeds, I've done exactly 1, and it took me 3 hours.
Okay.
But that was with all the second quest options on. And
right.
I think this was pre-shapes.
Okay, so it was quite a while ago. But so any thoughts on kind of, you mentioned the mixed quest overworld, but kind of the overall flag set, either in general what you think of it, or how it applied specifically to this seed?
I was really happy that Dungeon Start was off, because Dungeon Start and shapes is never fun, and in my last match that got me in huge trouble. By that, I mean I didn't realize what was going on with the dungeons, because if you have a second quest overworld and first quest dungeons, it swaps them.
Oh, right, okay.
And that cost me a race, because I marked level 8 as level 7 last time. Thankfully, I didn't have to deal with it this time, because the thing was on at least.
Right, okay.
So where was Yoshi at when I found ladder?
When you found a ladder, I am not 100% sure. I've actually been having some issues with viewing Yoshi's stream here, so
He was heading back over towards level 8. Again, he got the any key and the recorder about the time that you hit level 9. So he's been, unfortunately, trying to find things. He does not know how to screen scroll. So
Oh,
he,
ouch.
unfortunately, had a lot of issues getting off Death Mountain until he found the any roads.
Ouch. Yeah, screen scrolling is really, really important on this seed because of the starting position. And
Yeah.
also the starting position and the fact that the enemies weren't shuffled. So you were starting in Death Mountain with a whole bunch of bomb caves and just nowhere to go except if you don't know how to screen scroll, you have to go through the Lost Woods, and there's so many just screens where it's super easy to die.
Yeah, and he was, unfortunately, with shuffled drop groups as well, he did not get a bomb until about 25 or 30 minutes in. I mean, he found the sword fairly early, but every time he died, he had to make the trek all the way back around and just couldn't get a bomb drop. Eventually, he did get the candle bot and found that any road along with the push block any road, and was able to then utilize the one up on Death Mountain. But again, unfortunately for him, just a symptom of being a newer player and not knowing how to screen scroll, and the randomizer kind of giving him the middle finger.
And that's actually one of the reasons why. Excuse me. That's actually one of the reasons why, for newer players, the tumult setting, I believe, the flags for the Swiss, or not the Swiss, but the early round flags for last year's tournament, I think those are great flags for new players to start with.
Right.
I would definitely agree.
Yeah, could you go in? Oh, yeah, excuse me. Could you go a little bit into what those flags actually entail?
Oh, the flags from last year's tournament. It's First Quest Overworld, First Quest Dungeons. White sword item is not shuffled. The start screen is vanilla start. And just everything's First Quest. If you want to get used to shapes, even just adding shapes to those flags makes it great. I really enjoyed the format for that event last year, and I'm hoping that the winter tournament is similar to that.
Yes, we will have to see what our flags do end up being.
I imagine there'll be something similar to Chaos. If I had a say in it, I would probably vote for Chaos with White Sword not shuffled.
Nobody wants to hear what I would vote for because everybody hates my flags.
Of course, everybody hates your flags because you play stupid flags. I'm not using that. I'm not saying that to insult you anyway. It's just like stupidly difficult flags.
Indeed. I mean, I would be okay with Ultima. I think Ultima would be fun.
I want to see Ultima for like the later rounds. I think Ultima's a great flag set for the later rounds.
My big thing is I just hate not having a shuffled start screen. I think that's silly, but that's just, again, my personal opinion. I like challenging stuff. I've been doing this for almost 2 years now. Good gracious. I started back on the Pandemonium flags, where the only things we really had were a shuffled dungeon, like caves and items, and everything else was pretty much normal. And quite frankly, that has turned out some of the hardest seeds we've ever had. So regardless of what flags you pick, you always have the ability to get an extremely difficult
Believe
seed.
me, I know.
And 1.2 Pandemonium. Jam knows what I'm talking about right now.
Believe me, I know. I have multiple videos on on YouTube and Twitch that have ridiculous 2-hour plus like last year's tournament settings. One in particular I remember had the dungeon that had the ladder requiring you to complete a 6 blue Wizrobe room with shutter doors.
Yep. And HP wasn't shuffled.
with wood sword and blue ring.
Yeah, and no ladder because and I think it was a river room too.
I didn't have a river room. It was an open room, but I think the way I ended up having to beat that seed was get a red potion and then do a save in do an up A save so that I would get my potion back every time I failed the room.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I've had one where it's the NSU room. It's 6 blue Wizrobes. It's non-shuffled HP, so you've got, 9 hit points on the guys, and it's double shutter, and you have no ladder, and that is the way to get to the ladder.
Ew.
And
thanks.
it's just a symptom of the randomizer, and that could happen in these flags too. And it's super rare, but it's just, again, your flags don't necessarily matter too much in the end of the day, because any particular flag set can troll you super hard. Even 0 HP can cause you problems if you get a bad room and you don't have a ladder and you've got Wizrobes or something.
I ran into something similar to that. Like, even for 0 HP enemies, this was actually kind of trolly in the ladder positioning, especially because you had the Triforce in 6 that was blocked. I think 1 and 7 were ladder blocked completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Yoshi's checked just about every room but the item room here in 6. Fortunately for him, he is in the correct dungeon, as he's checked 7 already and found that it's ladder blocked. He has not found 1 or 5 yet, but again, is fortunately in the correct area to get the item he needs to get this wrapped up.
Interesting. 5.
Right.
I didn't think 5 was that difficult to find. The dungeon I had trouble finding was 7.
He's just never been up to Death Mountain with bombs.
That would explain it.
Right. And as you said, he is currently exploring level 6. I think he was actually 1 south of the item room, but then took the staircase to go wherever that staircase takes you, unfortunately.
That's exactly the same thing I did. Because when I found because the compass was a piece of cake to find.
Yeah.
And the staircase took you pretty close to the Triforce. So it wasn't unusual at all to try to maybe find that Triforce, because level 6 is a dungeon that you don't want to go looking for the item in, just because it takes friggin' forever.
And unfortunately, Yoshi bailing out of the dungeon. He might be going to buy bombs, but for some reason is adamant on killing this Manhandla, which doesn't have anything of use, and has left the dungeon with the ladder, with now 0 bombs, and never bothered to explore the rest of it. He knows where the Triforce is too, so I'm not sure what it was he was looking for. Maybe a heart, but unfortunately is going to delay his ladder find even longer.
He would if he hasn't found all the dungeons yet, he might be going to look for the ladder in another dungeon, and that's what I ended up doing, because I'm like, level 6, even though they're 1 HP, it's still Wizrobes. The health situation isn't exactly good. So I completely understand why he would go to another dungeon to look for the ladder, because that's what I did. I think I checked every item I could except for the item in 7 before I found the ladder.
Yeah, but he has about 7 rooms left in level 6. That's how much exploration he has left, and most of them are up the spine. And he just, for whatever reason, wanted to kill the Manhandla and was not able to do so, and then left the dungeon without heading up the rest of the spine. So he went to the Fairy Fountain. We'll see if he heads back to level 6 now. Because again,
Oh, good.
I was gonna say he hasn't found 1 or 5 yet, and he just got some bombs. So he seems like he's gonna go back to 6 and finish that off before attempting to find these other dungeons. Fortunately, he is tracking this time around, whereas last time he wasn't. So, for the most part, he's got everything marked off other than Death Mountain.
Oh, if he wasn't tracking his first time around, that would explain why that took so long.
Yeah, he didn't start tracking till about 2.5 hours in. And yeah, it was mixed overworld as well.
Oh, I have a lot of problems with mixed overworld, even with a tracker.
Is it just because it's you have to sort of check everything in both quests, or
that? Excuse me.
Well, a lot of it is.
It's not just that. It's not just that, but for mixed quest, I actually kind of have to have 2 trackers.
Okay, 1 for each quest, kind of. Is that
one for each quest, because I don't know if you saw like my actual stream, but I've been using paper tracking to prepare for a marathon.
Okay.
Because I'm racing Janice at NASA 2017, and we're actually using the exact same as Calithon did, except Shapes is on.
Okay.
So just in case we can't have 2 laptops in the stream room, which I'm guessing, given the setup last year, there's a pretty good chance because we barely had room for 1.
Right.
We're just going to be opting to use paper.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I use the same type of deal where I use laminated maps and dry erase markers, and I had 2 separate maps as well. But then trying to utilize 2 different maps becomes extremely cumbersome. So eventually, I just memorize the second quest locations, and I just use 1 map and have to mark it off. But it can become frustrating where you're trying to figure out where that spot is that you missed. And I've had 4 occasions where the last spot on the overworld has been the dungeon I need to find, and I haven't been able to locate it without wasting crazy amounts of time.
Yeah, that can be super costly when you think you've checked everything, and then there's one spot you didn't check, and you wind up having to just brute force everything. It's awful. I've had that happen to me in a race before. It's not fun. You can go from first to last real quick.
Well, yeah, indeed.
Right. Or even worse, when it turns out you did check something and just didn't mark it off correctly, or you miswrote what it actually was. I've seen that happen as well.
I did that in a Link to the Past seed not too long ago. Thankfully, it didn't. Thankfully, it wasn't during a race. Because I'm sure a lot of us are in that tournament as well.
So whistling back to level 4, looks like we're going to have epicYoshi head to level 7, which makes sense as that is the only other dungeon he actually knows the location of right now. So we might see what item is in here, as I suspect he will probably look for it. I don't think he's missing too much at this point. He's got the bow and the ladder and everything else, but might be looking for perhaps the red ring or silver arrows, which at this point, I believe if they are not shuffled, we have narrowed down to the fact that it is the book. Which will not be something that you want to find.
Yes, that is correct.
I think it's...
Go ahead.
Oh, good.
All right. So for people just joining us, a brief recap of where the various items were. Level 1 had the red candle and the magical boomerang, or the blueberry banana. Level 2 had the bow. Level 3 had the wooden boomerang. Level 4 had the raft. Level 5 had the white sword. Level 6 had the ladder. Technically, we don't know what's in level 7, but we're presuming it's the magic book. Level 8 had the recorder and the magic key. Level 9, again, we don't know for sure, but at least one of, or probably both of, the red ring and the silver arrow are there. And the coast item was the heart container, the Armos item was the power bracelet, and the white sword cave item was actually the magical wand.
Oh, speaking of level 3's item, I'm sure Greenleaf would approve of this seed.
Yeah, we saw you do a double take, which turned out to actually be valuable in the long run, because I think there was at least one occasion, such as the vertical room with the ropes, that you were able to clear out, and some other things like that, where the boomerang proving to be useful in a 0 HP seed.
I'm not used to 0 HP, which is the reason why when I saw Lord Banana, I just left immediately, and then I'm like, wait, these enemies have 0 HP, and I don't have a ranged attack yet. This is probably worth picking up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we did notice that you, as Jed mentioned, you did kind of a double take there, and we thought that was exactly, in fact, what you were thinking. Like, oh, wait a minute, that will be useful. Let me go grab that.
And Yoshi will find the Triforce room here. It will be interesting to see if he picks it up and whether or not he will die for an item.
Depending on how much of 7 Yoshi has cleared, it might be better for him to dig. But at this point, I believe he has it narrowed down to...
He's going to leave, so good choice on his part. Just has to figure out where the other dungeons are at this point. Again, Death Mountain being the major place he hasn't been. He's not been down to the Southwest Caves, and I don't believe he's done any of the recorder whistle spots yet. but the obvious choice here would be to go to Death Mountain. He does have a full complement of 8 bombs, which if he takes the normal bombing pattern, he should find both dungeons very quickly.
The bomb upgrade was garbage in this seed.
Yeah, was it like 113 for 2 bombs?
113 for 2 bombs. Yeah, I was still buying it because I had nothing else to spend my money on because I took a potion out of the last bonus cave, and it's the right call. You don't know where letter is.
Yeah, and you had you had so many rupees it wasn't even funny. Finding the second large secret with already 230 rupees is never what you want to find, but I never had any issues with money throughout the seed for sure.
Right, that was kind of what I had figured, that you, outside of maybe getting arrows, like you said, you had nothing else to spend it on, might as well just go ahead and grab upgrade at that point.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for an arrow block after you bought the bomb upgrade, but it didn't end up happening.
You would.
Yeah. Yoshi, unfortunately, not realizing that if you have a clock, you cannot use the whistle, so we'll have to head down a screen to go ahead and use that. But, again, in comparison to his previous seed, he's doing fantastic. He's just got to locate these last 2 dungeons. And, once he makes his way back to the start screen, that will be super quick for him. Looks like he's going to check these recorder spots, hopefully, and will narrow down some areas that he has not been, but much improved overall. His combat looks much more crisp. He has a better understanding of where to look for caves, whereas before, the previous seed, he was having some issues with that. So doing much better overall for what I think is his 3rd race overall. I mean, he has not done very many of these randomizers.
Right, absolutely. And in the randomizer, there are a lot of dungeon entrances and a lot of things that you need to know about that, frankly, in what I'll call a traditional speedrun, you don't need to know the whole game necessarily. You need to know kind of the specific subset of the various rooms that apply to an any percent speedrun. Whereas, I feel like randomizers, both this game specifically and the more general concept of the randomizer, really test your knowledge of the whole game and, how you can actually adapt to a bad situation as opposed to just, oops, I got marginally suboptimal luck, reset.
Right.
So
that's actually one of the reasons why I love randomizer in general so much, is because it tests your mental agility, I would say.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
really
Magical
good
Sword
thing.
Get on Yoshi's side now as well, which will help with bosses, but with Ganon not being required is actually, unfortunately, not a useful item. It's kind of frustrating when you can get that item and it turns out that it's a 0 HP seed and nothing really needs to be killed with it. But
How many hearts was it, if I may ask?
he checked at 10 and it didn't work, and he has 12. So the assumption is off of statistical logic that it would be 12 hearts, but we will never really know.
Yeah.
Probably. All right. Well, I'm actually going to mute for a bit because I need to eat supper, but I'm going to come back on when he finishes.
Good deal, man. Thanks for hanging out with us and throwing out some interview and answering some questions, and we'll see you in a bit.
Oh, certainly.
So Yoshi going to make his way down to the southwest, which is a portion of the area map he has not checked yet, so that's good. Hopefully he does whistle here. Hopefully he'll get off the screen before getting caught, and does not. So he's going to get whisked away to level 6 back up in the northeast, unfortunately.
Oh, yep. He's going to have to either check... Let's see where he heads off to now. Okay. Yep. He's whistling away here. Back to vanilla level 4. Yep.
Yeah, so it should take him right back over there. Unfortunately, getting trolled a little bit by that corridor, but hopefully he'll make his way up to the Death Mountain area soon. But it is good to see him checking all of these recorder spots because, again, when he first played last week, he had a mixed quest seed and he did not know about the recorder spots or anything of that. So, I talked to him a little bit and he said he went back and he rewatched his VOD and he was really cool about the TGE Great Armos Uprising of 2017 and all the memes that ensued from the Armos slaughter. But he's definitely taken to heart any kind of criticism or helpful comments that people have given him. And again, it's paid dividends as he's having a much better seed thus far, even with it being a mixed overworld again. So it not being shapes has been helpful too. But again, he's made really good decisions about where to go and what to do.
Right, absolutely. And as you mentioned, his decision making is much improved as well. A lot of I'd say a lot of what's held him up has just been really bad luck, especially with that start position and just not being able to get a bomb for so long and just having all sorts of difficulty getting off of Death Mountain with all those Lionels and all the damage and not getting a sword right away, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take, again, like you were pointing out, into account that was the first 30 minutes before he even found anything of use. It was about that long before he got a bomb drop. So he was stuck doing Death Mountain essentially with no bombs. And unfortunately for him, that's the place he needs to go now, right? It's where the last two dungeons are. And if I were him, I would be adverse to it too, because, that place has been brutal the entire game to me. But again, if you take any kind of normal bombing pattern, he should quickly find 1 and 5. And should be able to get this seed finished up pretty quick. We might even see a sub 2 hour out of him this time.
Right.
Making sure to mark off the locations that he checked. Unfortunately, he whistled at those 2 grave spots instead of pushed. So had they been something useful, that would have actually cost him. But just one of those things where, again, it's the concept of understanding second quest and mixed quests, and
right, and knowing what you can do potentially in first versus second versus mixed.
Yeah, indeed.
Because there are a couple screens where that's actually different, I believe, where you push versus whistle in the graveyard, depending on the quest.
If he bombs the right spot, and he will, learned his lesson from last seed. This was the screen where the Armos were slaughtered, ineffectually, but finds level 5, and again, they're a level. And his first seed was level 3, and it's level 5 this time. So, fantastic for him. And again, if he just heads to the right or to the left a couple of screens, he finds his last dungeon, and he'll be on his way to 9 quickly.
Yes, indeed. Always good to. It's always good to see really, newer players or the second place player in general kind of persevere and finish out the seed. Because time completion, I believe, is a factor in the tiebreaker. Or any potential tiebreakers that may arise, but also B, just because it's good to see people. It's just good to see people kind of stick it out and persevere and finish up the seed.
Right, and using again, even my first seed was like 3.5 hours. It takes time, and that was on a Pandemonium seed, right, where it's just first quest overworld, and the only thing that's shuffled is caves and items, not mixed quest with a bunch of random flags. So. Again, taking the time to persevere through and learn and finish out a seed like he did, he learned a lot of things, and it's obviously paying dividends because his time is substantially better. And barring not being able to find 1 for 2 hours, like unfortunately it was with level 2 on the last time he played, this is going to be easy to mop up.
Right, he's just going to grab the Triforce there, it looks like. But, yeah. My, the one and only, believe it or not, I've only ever actually played the randomizer, a couple years ago at this point. And, it took me about 3 hours, and that one set of flags, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was even easier than what you're saying. It was really only a couple things that I shuffled, because I don't actually know the game that well, again, kind of outside of a lot of the speedrun-related stuff, strangely enough.
Right,
but that took me about 3 hours to get through. So
yeah, and the speedrunning stuff can translate again, like screen scrolls and block clips being the majority of the skills there that can translate. But it's combat skills can help too. But a lot of the stuff in randomizer is just again, it's finding a logical path to take and having good overworld routing based on what items that you've located and things like that. But does find level 1, so he has found the last dungeon he needs. So again, he finds the Triforce here, he can head right to 9 and he'll be in good shape.
Yeah. Grab that heart there.
Yoshi uses his tongue. And you go back in time. You need to go find the DeLorean and go back in time about 3 weeks, and you can enter this tournament. But if you really do want to join a randomizer tournament, we will have another one this winter. So be sure to join in on there are nightly chaos races. There are other flags that are thrown out there. Be sure to join in and get in some practice before that, and then you will be better prepared. And Yoshi's still looking for this Triforce, which has been
for the Triforce.
a little bit avoiding him, but we all know that everything is over in the eastern chicken wing.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that right side there. Yep. Well, now he knows as well, as he just picked up the compass there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna head. I mean, again, so like making good decisions here, right? Not even looking for the items, knowing he's got ladder, knowing he's got the bow, assuming probably that silver arrows are in fact in level 9, making good logical choices here, which is fantastic to see from newer players.
Right, absolutely. It's really, that's one of those things that you can only learn you know, through experience. Although that was a little bit unlucky there, getting bopped back into level 1. But yeah, you know, in randomizers in general, it just really comes with kind of experience. You know, what not, you know, the right or the wrong play is kind of determined by the specific seed. But you know, the high percentage play, the smart play to make, is one of those things that you you know, you really pick up and learn through experience, and he's picking that aspect of it up rather quickly, I would say.
Yeah, and understanding whistling and all of that jazz as well. I mean, again, it's just it was just an unfortunate thing of not unlike again, it's random percent tournament, and he got shapes and mixed quest overworld the very first time, you know, in a big race. That's going to throw anybody for a loop. But again, can't emphasize enough how he took the help that people were willing to give him and has taken it to heart, and again is going to easily, barring some craziness in level 9, have a sub 2 hour seed, which has got to feel fantastic, you know, with another mixed quest overworld and the ladder being in a location you're not normally going to check as well. So, you know, fantastic time going for him here.
And wow, okay, that was fast. Yep.
Good game.
Indeed.
Wow, that's so she was only like 3 rooms up.
That was what, 4th room, I think? Yeah. I have not seen that particular ending text yet.
Trogdor! A good game. We had a final time of 142.47. That has got to feel fantastic after last round. So congratulations to Yoshi on a fantastically played seed.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't realize that she was just 3 rooms up. That's insane.
I didn't realize that either, actually. I think because, yeah, I think
you
because...
kind of got your 9.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty close.
Alright, I guess while we're getting Yoshi in here, I'm gonna check the pairings, see who I got.
Oh, exciting.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see here.
I'm out.
Round 3 pairings, we could go over that while we're waiting for Yoshi to show up here.
Yeah, let's take a look here.
Round 3. Drone.
Nice. I got Putz 12. That'll be a good race. We've got JamEvil versus Darkwing Duck.
Oh, wow.
Unos versus JSR 2 Gamers. Drakados versus Zarnax. Jake Holper versus Zebgedny. Crimson Avix versus the Breasticle. Fred Coughlin versus Digshake.
Ooh, Fred and Digshake.
The war between the randomizers, Z1 versus Z2. The tiebreaker is a Zelda 2 randomizer.
Kappa.
Yeah,
All
some
right. Let's see.
crazy pairings here.
Well, that was to be expected given all the upsets there have been.
Yeah, definitely,
Right.
indeed.
Yeah. All the upsets and really just how how Swiss kind of works in general. After 2 rounds, even if there hadn't been a number of upsets, just because all the 2-0s get matched with other 2-0s, all the 1-1s get matched with other 1-1s, just kind of by how that works, you're going to start to see a lot of the heavy hitters start going up against one another here. But yeah, I'm just taking a look at this now.
Yeah, all these games are again what I would say kind of hype matches, because by the time you hit this third round of the Swiss, you're really starting to get equal level players against each other, and it makes for some really exciting matches.
Yes, absolutely.
And you said, how many are advancing?
There will be it's going to be 20 total.
Uh-oh.
There will be 12 buys, and
Hello?
then there will be 8 people from the play-in race that
Am
make
I
it.
in already?
We can hear you. GG.
Okay.
What's going on, Yoshi? Man, nice seed, dude.
Yes,
Yeah.
GG.
I
Yeah, that was well played.
I wasn't actually expecting some to, but I'm glad I got it.
Well, having a really quick level 9 help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
it was a little
I
quick.
started this and hi Zelda, what do I do now? And I wasn't expecting this already.
Got done.
I actually took a staircase and then kind of looped back down to find her.
I feel like I just went straight in. That
Yeah, that
happened
was-
all so fast. I kind of already forget everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
that
just 3 rooms in.
Yeah, it was basically the fourth room, I think. If you count that entrance as a room, then yeah, you went up 3 times and there she was.
That is what I did.
Yeah, I mean, and I see the one thing that probably cost you the most time was the starting screen and how long it took you to find a bomb. But once that was remedied, about 30 minutes in, you made fantastic decisions. You followed the logical things that you needed to follow, and again, you were using your tracker, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it
That helped
made
a
big
lot
difference.
this time.
Not
That
being
5 hours last time definitely taught me that lesson.
I imagine not being able to screen scroll hurt you a lot.
I mean, it didn't make my performance any worse than standard.
Although to be
For me.
frank, the CRT that I have for playing video games is kind of cheating for Zelda 1 because my TV actually has exactly 5 pixels of cutoff on the left and right sides.
That's exactly perfect.
That helps.
So if I can see that Link's shield is just off screen in the cutoff area, I know I'm on the right pixel.
No, you're good.
That's borderline. It's definitely legit, but borderline legit.
A little bit.
I'm definitely happy with that, though.
Yeah, so tell us kind of your thoughts on that seed in general.
I compared to the last one, like it's a godsend. I found everything. As opposed to last time where I didn't check where 2 was or where 3 was for 3 hours.
But man, you got those Armos in their place. That's for sure.
Yep. I took
know,
it easy on him this time.
I know how you feel though. That happened to me last round.
It was
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah, Mixed Quest Overworld it's bad all around anyways, just because again, like we were talking about earlier, you might miss a spot, or again, a lot of it comes down to, well, do I have the item here? And you've already walked through that area maybe twice, checking it without the item you need to open up, say, a recorder spot. And so it doesn't click in your mind that you need to go there, or you might have mismarked it. There's just so many things that can happen, but
Right. And when I did Mixed the first time, I still wasn't very steady with my second quest. So I would do a thing and I'd be like, okay, it's not there then, but I'd missed it. by like a spot, by a tile.
Yeah, that was something I mentioned during the race, is that especially on the overworld, you have to be a good deal more precise with your bombing than you do inside of a dungeon, which can throw you off if you're not expecting it, or or if you think you were there, but like you said, you were just a little bit off. And you're like, oh, I guess it's not there, but
it was.
yeah, but it actually was. Yeah.
Worse yet, was a dungeon.
One suggestion I do want to make, if you want to get better at the randomizer, is, have you been playing in the nightly chaos races?
I did not know about them.
Every single
There you
night.
go.
Every single night. They usually start between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern time on SRL. We have a nightly chaos race that we usually get about 10 people, and the flags are pretty easy, so it's really good for beginners. It's basically First Quest Overworld, shapes. It's pretty much just First Quest Overworld and shapes.
Okay. That is a lot easier than trying to figure out mixed.
Yeah, I would highly recommend doing a lot of Chaos or Tumult, which is the flags that we used for last year's tournament. Those two sets are just great flag sets for beginners to learn on.
Yeah, I would
the
definitely
next
recommend
thing I
that.
plan to learn is the dungeons, knowing which rooms to skip, because I'm sure I lose a lot out to that.
In
One-
shapes, it's not as big of a deal, because when you have shapes shuffled anyway, so you do have to clear everything. But when you have First Quest dungeons without rooms being shuffled between dungeons,
Which
It
I
didn't
believe
actually
they
apply in
were this time, right?
the rooms were shuffled between dungeons because you had that gold diagonal block room that was a tell that rooms were shuffled between dungeons. But I would definitely consider going over to like Jay Coper's channel, because he has a tutorial for First Quest non-shapes that has a list of all the drop rooms in it for First Quest, and depending on what flags you get, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I watched that over once and I was like, wow, that's a lot of info. I'm not getting that first time through, but I'll definitely do another pass over it.
Another thing is for First Quest, I actually have another tracker made by Johann Howitzer.
Okay.
And that tracker is the only tracker I know of that actually lists all of the drop rooms when you go into a dungeon.
I haven't even tried figuring out how to actually track dungeons yet.
For dungeons, the only dungeons that I actually do tracking for, besides just items, is level 9. But I use a custom paper tracker now, so I don't know how helpful that would be.
Considering how much time I lose to just like mousing on the tracker, I don't know. Because if you would see me pause during the race, like it would happen every new screen, I think, like a good 2 seconds.
I did notice that. I figured you were, either clicking off or just taking a second or two to sort of mark off what things were on your tracker there.
Yeah,
Which,
because after last time, I wasn't going to be like, oh, I'll remember to mark that off later.
Right.
I
So
was
that
doing
is.
that.
Go ahead.
I was doing that from time to time as well, because I'm getting used to a new tracker as well, since paper tracking is a thing too.
I don't know if that would work for me. Certainly not with the physical setup I have right now. I just have 2 maps beside me.
It's just two 8.5 by 11 sheets. If you want to, I can link you to them, and then all you need is just get them laminated and use dry erase, and you're good to go.
Ooh, that's worth a shot.
Yeah, that's what I do, and I like it a lot. I have an issue trying to click things. Now, granted, I play on console, so it's a bit different. I'm not like right next to the tracker on an emulator, but I find it very difficult to try to click things, especially with Z Helper, where you have to click multiple times. It just takes me too long to do that. So
I play on console as well.
I got a couple hotkeys mapped for it, but not all of them. So sometimes I have to click, and when I have something that I need to click, that's when it takes a long time. And
And a little-
sometimes I forget what my mapping was.
Yeah, and a little plug for Quest Wizard. He is working on a version 5, which is going to, I believe he said, have hotkeys. So should be a lot easier to use the tracker. He's been working on that in his spare time and has got some really cool stuff that's coming up in that. So look for that here in the future.
Definitely. And I'll definitely look for the Chaos races. Not anytime soon because I'm going away, but after that I'll probably join in.
Yeah, they have one every night.
Should be fun.
There's the wizard himself.
So, unless you have anything more to say.
Not from me.
Yeah.
All right,
I
well,
think
what I'm going to do is I'm
good.
going to find that paper tracker for you, and I'm going to link it to you in a Discord message or something.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. So does anybody else here have any other final thoughts here?
No, just go check out the bracket and make sure that you get your matches scheduled. And we'll see what we've got coming up this weekend as far as crazy races. We got some killer matchups, so be sure to go check that out. I'm sure that both MTI and I will be on commentary again at some point, so make sure that at least when I'm doing it, you mute so you don't have to hear my voice. And we'll see you here later on. Thanks again to Jam as always for hitting up these restreams. It's a lot of work, and he puts a lot of effort into it. So make sure you shoot him a follow. Shoot MTI here a follow. Twitch.tv/MTI. He does lots of Bard's Tale, so go check it out. Make sure you follow our 2 racers, RaikouRider and epicYoshi64. And I've been Adaginos, and with me is
MTI. And yeah, make sure to check out the schedule. I imagine if this weekend is anything like last weekend, there are going to be a ton of races this Saturday and Sunday for your randomizer viewing pleasure. So definitely make sure you check those out. But if there's nothing else, thank you to my co-commentator Adaginos. Thank you to JamEvil for the restream, and of course, thank you to epicYoshi and RaikouRider, and GGs to both of you for the race.
Thank you.
Until next time, everybody. Bye bye.